Hello and welcome to the Ice Guys. This is the show that takes you into the world of the National Hockey League. Every game, every day, from a betting perspective. With pro sports handicappers, Ian Cameron, Alex B. Smith, and various guests from the world of hockey and sports betting. And now, here's your host, Ian Cameron.
Welcome to the Ice Guys, Friday, December the 6th. Ian Cameron, and with us, one half of the Robinson clan, Ryan Robinson, with us today, stepping in for Alex B. Smith, who's a little under the weather, feeling sick today. Alex, we wish you well. Hope you're better soon. He expects to be ready tomorrow, but like I said, we hope he's back tomorrow on Saturday. Ryan stepping in, though, out of the bullpen here. To take over and join us here for this Friday slate. A ton of a really nice Friday card. 6 games, not always something you see here for a Friday in the NHL. We'll get to that in a moment. We will get to the recap. Actually, we'll do the recap first, and then we'll get into really a lot of news that's gone on. Of course, there was another coaching firing yesterday in the NHL involving Alex's team, the Chicago Blackhawks. And we'll get his thoughts on the whole Luke Richardson dismissal tomorrow, or whenever he rejoins us on the show. I know he was approving of the firing. We'll get to that in a moment. As far as the Thursday slate, it was a good Thursday slate, profitable, really solid, more good than bad. Yeah, we had some clunkers in there, but more good than bad, and a profitable night, and we'll take it. How about Tampa Bay laying a thumping on the San Jose Sharks, 8-1 in that game. I did take a small shot with the Sharks. Nothing to worry about losing. It was a small bet, but did grab a little piece of the over as well. And that obviously Tampa gets the over all by themselves. They absolutely rip apart San Jose. They chase Vitek Vanacek after 5 goals. He continues to have a pretty rough season overall for the Sharks. Blackwood had to take over. And it was a Brandon Hagel with 2 goals in 23 seconds in the first period. It was a great night from him. How about Braden Point? Didn't score a goal, but he factored in on 4 of the Tampa goals. 4 assists, 4 points for Braden Point. And a lot of these guys that got selected for the 4NF, the Four Nations face-off, you know, they all played well the last couple of nights. It's almost like it's like a little pep in their step, you know, getting drafted to the team, picked by the team to represent their country. So nice win there for Tampa, 8-1, and as they bounce back after the loss to Toronto on Saturday. Carolina with a 5-3 win against Colorado. Scott Wedgwood getting the start. You know, they got badly outplayed, Colorado. I don't think Wedgwood was the problem. You can't be outshot 35-19. You can't be outshot 28-12. You know, in the first 2 periods like Colorado was. In fact, I thought it could have been worse if not for Wedgwood last night in that game. But Carolina gets a 5-3 win, snapping their losing streak. And look, pretty easy to see why. You know, once again, Svechnikov, we kind of called him out. He needed to get going a little bit. He did with last night's game. 5 points for Svechnikov, a huge night for him. Marty Necas continued to play well. Eric Robinson, we mentioned him maybe being a goal prop candidate. So nice win for Carolina. Another Carolina team total over cashes. That is now 17-5 in the last 22 games. 17-5 to the team total, over 3.5 for Carolina. So Carolina has scored 4 goals or more, 17 of their last 22 games. That's a pretty strong fire of consistency. Apparently the fire alarm is going off in Ryan's building there, so that's why he's departed. So we'll get him back hopefully soon rather than later. I mean, if he's got to evacuate, good luck with that with his injury, but that's another story. What else have we seen? You know, it'll take me 20 minutes to do the recap anyway, Ryan, as you know, so take your time.
It just went off, like stopped going off, I think.
All right. I'm kidding when I say 20 minutes. I mean, it's not that long, but I do go over things with a fine-tooth comb here, as you know, on this recap section. With that said, we continue along. Florida, 7-5 victory over the Philadelphia Flyers last night. That game was nuts. And this was one of 2 games that I thought I was going to get the draw, and we had last-minute crap take place to keep me from cashing the draw. And Detroit-Ottawa was the other one. Thought we were going to get the draw there, and Ottawa decides, yeah, let's win the game in the final minute. So that was frustrating, but what was not frustrating here was the over, about as easy as it gets, taking this game up and over the total, 7-5 for Florida in the win. Again, a kind of a rough night for Spencer Knight, not his best, but it was an even rougher night for Kolosov and Fedotov. Both of those guys, they stink, man. These goalies just suck for Philadelphia. I feel bad for them. They play hard. Tortorella has them working every single night. They don't get a save consistently. He needs to bust out that line he had when he was in Tampa Bay all those years ago. Can I get a save? Can I get a save? He's not getting one right now from the Philadelphia. They need Ersson back in the worst way. And I'm not trying to make Ersson out to be the second coming of Bernie Parent here, or Ron Hextall. But the fact remains he's definitely a lot more reliable and trustworthy, and you can put a lot more confidence in him than either of these two guys right now, Kolosov or Fedotov. So they need Sam Ersson back in a hurry. They're playing hard, but can't give up 7 goals and expect to win. Florida gets the job done there, 7-5 over the Philadelphia Flyers. Winnipeg with an overtime win, 3-2 against Buffalo. We split these two bets. I had Buffalo first period and full game. We do cash the first period part of that one, but the Jets end up winning in overtime 3-2. Solid victory for them, much needed to stop the bleeding. It's been the first extended rough stretch of the season for the Winnipeg Jets, and they end up getting the overtime win. The captain gets it done, Adam Lowry. Ottawa 2-1 over Detroit. This was kind of disappointing because this game frustrated me like you couldn't believe. I knew we weren't going to get the overs. First period and full game both stayed under, but I at least thought, 1-1 was going to go to overtime. We'd get the draw, but no, Josh Norris said, let's end it before it gets to OT. 43 seconds left in the third period to give Ottawa a 2-1 win over the Detroit Red Wings in that game. It was a solid effort defensively from the Ottawa Senators. They only gave up 20 shots. First game back home after that road trip, so a nice 2-1 win there for Ottawa to get back on track. Detroit continues to have their problems. And there's another coach on the now with Richardson gone in Chicago. Who are the next two coaches most on the hot seat right now? You got to believe one of them is Derek Lalonde for Detroit. The other is probably the guy we're going to talk about right now, Andrew Brunette. I mean, I'd be very, very worried about his job security right now. And I never thought we would say that, but this Nashville team, it's getting worse, not better. I mean, you get blanked by Montreal 3-0, and no, give Montreal credit. They outplayed Nashville for 2 periods. Nashville did come after Montreal hard in the third period, and Montembeault was outstanding in that final period to keep Nashville at bay and keep them off the scoreboard. But the fact remains, you can't come out in the first 2 periods, especially that first period, the way Nashville did when you're struggling like you are, and expect to win games right now. It's just they look slow. They look like they are skating in mud, quicksand, and molasses combined. That's what it looks like when I watch Nashville play right now. There's no the puck movement. Everything looks telegraphed in the offensive zone, and the defense and the other team almost knows where the puck's going before Nashville does. That's a problem when you're trying to execute and make plays and get things rolling offensively. It's a huge problem when it seems like the other team is one step ahead of you, knowing what you're going to do. So from that standpoint, it's just a mess for Nashville. There's no question about that. Ryan O'Reilly's absence, great point there by Rich. You're already not great down the middle as it is, and you take out Ryan O'Reilly, you're even thinner. And look, Ryan O'Reilly's not had a great year by his standards. I think maybe Father Time is knocking on his front door right now. But nevertheless, you still take him out of the lineup, and there's definitely some issues with their depth down the middle at the center ice position. And we're certainly seeing that for the Nashville Predators right now. Just a dreadful performance, 3-0. And just getting worse, not better for the Preds. The good news is we swept the board there. Well, we had the draw. We didn't get that, but we had Montreal team total over 2.5 and Montreal money line, both of those cashing in. So I was happy to see that. And then the later games, we had God damn that angle, man. If not for that stupid angle, I wouldn't have taken the Islanders last night. The only reason I bet the Islanders is because we had that off the loss to Montreal angle, which was 7-1 going into last night. Now it's 7-2. And the Islanders, that's the only reason I bet the Islanders last night. I won't be betting the Islanders again anytime. There's another team that just can't get out of their own way. 5-2 victory for the Seattle Kraken in that game. It's 2 nice wins on this road trip for Seattle. So credit to them. It's brutal end to the home with the 2 losses to San Jose in a row. But to start this road trip with back-to-back wins against Carolina and the New York Islanders, solid stuff. You know what I want to point out, and we've been frustrated, Alex and I in particular, saying with Dan Bylsma, they're playing fast. They're trying to be more aggressive offensively, more creative, let the players do the damage offensively for this team. And there's no question about that. But, at the same point in time, the goals haven't been going in consistently for this team. And you've had to ask yourself, well, wait a minute here. What's going on? Why has it been such a struggle here for this team to get their offense going? Well, suddenly, wouldn't you know it, that Vince Dunn came back to the line. Now, they were without Vince Dunn for a long time, for over a month and a half, from mid-October to November 30th when they played at home against San Jose. So the road games against Carolina and the Islanders were his second game and his third game back from injury. And wouldn't you know it, he has had 4 points in the 2 games on this road trip. He scored a goal last night. And all of a sudden, the Seattle team is starting to score goals again. They got 4 goals or 5 goals last night, if you include the empty netter. 4 goals against Carolina. He is such a difference maker for this team. And I think it's a situation where this Seattle Kraken team, you look at it minus Dunn and with Dunn, and all of a sudden they're transitioning the puck up the ice strong. There's suddenly it's suddenly a situation where they're generating more. They're getting more chances. They're carrying the play more. They have the puck more. All of this stuff. They're in the ozone more often. All of this stuff. And he just has made a difference, clearly. Because now Seattle, we went, where's the offense? Where's the offense? And now Vince Dunn's back, 2 games on this road trip, his second and his third game back. Well, they score 4 goals on the road, against, well, wouldn't say the Islanders are quality competition, but Carolina sure is. Like I said, he's a difference maker. Shane Wright heating up. That's a nice point by Bailey in the chat. He is starting to get going for this team, Shane Wright. And like I said, there's definitely all kinds of talent there. This guy's got 4 goals now in his last 6 games for the Seattle Kraken. And like I said, Vince Dunn's a difference maker. He's an impact player on that blue line, and certainly an impact as far as making this a better offensive team. And that's just something I wanted to point out because I think it's been noticeable what we've seen from Seattle with Vince Dunn back in the lineup. St. Louis, 4-3 win in overtime against Calgary last night. Another winner with St. Louis as a dog there. They've been just great under Jim Montgomery. They're now 4-0 as a road underdog since Jim Montgomery took over. The Rangers, the Devils, the Jets, and the Flames winning all 4 of those games as road underdogs. The only loss was when they were a home favorite against the Flyers, and they lost in overtime. So they continue to play well under Jim Montgomery. I'll be honest, kind of thought maybe that goal could have been called back in overtime. It did look like they were pushing on Vladar's pads there with that game winner, but it stood. Like I said, I think I'll be honest. I think it probably wasn't a goal in my opinion. But like I said, I'll take it. St. Louis ends up getting the win last night, 4-3. Jim Montgomery with the quip after the game that was pretty funny. I was in the locker room having pizza, drinking water. I knew it was going to be I knew it was going to be a good goal. But we'll take it 4-3 with St. Louis. The bottom line is St. Louis continues to play well, find ways to win. I don't think it was their best defensive game. Calgary was coming at them at portions of that game, but nevertheless, it was a good win for St. Louis. And then the last game, beautiful thing with this system play, especially when it's both teams off a shutout loss. It's now happened 3 times this year where it's been both teams off a shutout loss, and it has been first period over, full game over. If you take goal in the first 10 minutes, that is cashed in all these games as well when both teams play each other following a shutout loss. And that's what we saw with Columbus and Edmonton last night. 6-3 for Edmonton. And not exactly Sergei Bobrovsky versus Grant Fuhr in the net last night, clearly, when you're talking about Daniil Tarasov versus Calvin Pickard. So that certainly helped us out as far as that system play cashing in. All right, Ryan, anything you want to add on this Thursday night from last night?
Yeah, there wasn't a ton for me, honestly. I've been pretty busy with finals coming up, so I just took a shot with your best bet with the first period over in that Columbus Oilers game as well as the full game over. So those were the only 2 things I had, and luckily they cashed. But other than that, I flipped back and forth through a few games. Watched a little bit of the Carolina-Colorado game. And then a little bit of the Buffalo-Winnipeg game. Just wanted to see how Winnipeg would respond after those few losses. So not a ton for me betting-wise, but obviously a much much bigger card today, and or the card I'm more interested in, I should say. So I'll have a lot more bets today than I did yesterday.
No, Jonathan Davison. So no, of course not. I have to press the button to make the bet, and I made the bet on the Islanders, knowing that that's not a good hockey team right now. But hey, like I always say, I live and die by the system. When you find a good one, and that's still a good system, even with the Islanders, messing it up a little bit last night. It's still 7-2 this season for teams after losing to Montreal in their previous game. So it's still a good system. It's just the Islanders that's how bad they are. They fail the system. That tells you how bad they're playing right now. The New York Islanders. They failed the system. And that's the way it went. All right, let's get into Friday night. We will begin with the Washington Capitals and the Toronto Maple Leafs. We got the Leafs -145 home favorites. Total in this game sitting at 6, shaded to the over in this game. We've got obviously a rematch. These teams played in Washington just recently. It was a 4-3 overtime win for the Leafs in that game against the Capitals, and they have owned this series to the tune of 9-1. The last 10 meetings in favor of the Leafs. They have won several in a row at home against the Washington Capitals. So this has been a series dominance for Toronto. That being said, it's a back-to-back front end of a back-to-back for Toronto. They're in Pittsburgh tomorrow night. Charlie Lindgren will get the start here for Washington. We expect Stolarz for Toronto, but it's not been confirmed yet. Bottom line is, Stolarz plays tonight, Woll will play tomorrow night, or Woll plays tonight, Stolarz plays tomorrow night. It's a back-to-back for the Leafs. They're going to use both goalies in those two games, so that's the way it goes. I like Washington, though, at this price. They've been excellent off a loss. They've only lost 2 games in a row once this season, and I like this price getting them off a loss. They've been terrific in this type of situation throughout the course of the season. They're off that 2-1 loss to San Jose. It's also the system play. Teams off a loss to San Jose. It's been an auto bet for me in all season, really. 6-0 in their last 6 as a road dog, says Shua in the chat as well. That's another plus for them. Like, Leafs are playing great. I don't like stepping in front of Toronto. They're playing great hockey. I've given them their flowers. I've given them their accolades. I've given them their praise, the last several games. I fully admit how well they're playing right now, especially defensively. The goaltending's been great. Austin Matthews revving back up now. Took him maybe a couple games, and then he explodes for 2 goals against Nashville in the win the other night. But this is just a system play for Washington, a team that's very good responding after a bad game, and that was a bad game by their standards, especially losing to a team like San Jose at home. It's still a strong record this season in games for teams after losing to San Jose in the previous game. It's been strong all season long. You're getting a nice price here with Washington. So for me, it's the Capitals at this +125 price here in this game tonight. And like I said, they fit that system play number 2, which is 7-2 on the season for teams after losing to San Jose. And we have to run it back with the first period over 1.5 here in this game as well. 15-2 now in the last 17 games for the Washington Capitals to the first period over. I don't know if I like the full game over, though. That being said, if you actually look at the last 10 meetings, only 2 of them have failed to get to at least 6 goals, and this total is sitting at 6. So I do like the full game over. I will bet the full. It is officially an over by Fecta, but I definitely have more money on and like the first period over of that more than the full game here in this one. So little on the full game over, bigger on the first period over, and I like Washington here +125. Maybe even a sprinkle on the draw too, just because of the fact we did see overtime in Washington when these teams played just recently head-to-head. Ryan, what do you think here? Capitals, Leafs.
Yeah, pretty simple for me. I really like that first period over. I see it at -135. Washington's been on that hot streak. I think Toronto's only like 3-7 to the over in their last 10, but obviously they have the offensive firepower to contribute a goal in the first. So I really like that -135. I'm kind of torn because I like the value with Washington +124. I kind of agree with you. Toronto's been hot. I don't really want to step in front of them at home. But I am leaning towards the Capitals +124. I think that's good value for a team that's playing as well as them. And I do also see their team total over 2.5 at -140. So I think I'm going to take a small shot with that rather than the money line. I think they can get to 3 goals, win or lose. That way, if they lose 4-3. It cashes either way. So for me, just that first period over, I got on that last night, and then I lean Washington, and I'm also going to take a small shot on their team total.
All right, good stuff there. As far as props for this game, definitely for the Toronto Maple Leafs. Nyes has been great. I like the way Minton's played at both ends of the ice, but Nyes has been excellent. Matthew's starting to heat up for this team, so keep an eye on them. Dylan Strome seems to play well in Toronto. Connor McMichael, Tom Wilson, I think, has usually done well against the Leafs. So there are a couple of options you can look at for Washington as well for the goal props here in this game tonight. All right, Seattle and New Jersey. We've got, and by the way, I want to mention one last thing about it was 15-1 to the over in the first period for Washington going into the San Jose game last game, and obviously it did not cash, and the full game stayed way under as well. I think part of that was Washington was flat. Okay, Washington had that game where they were flat. You could see it. They didn't have their A game. They didn't have a lot of zip. They weren't making good, crisp plays with the puck in that game against San Jose, and that's a big catalyst for why finally we had unders, especially in the first period with Washington. Now you've got them off a loss. Now we should see that zip. We should see that focus. We should see that assertive nature from the Washington Capitals. So I think that's what makes this a different situation as far as you could look at it and say, well, okay, maybe the first period overs are done now for a bit. Now that finally they had one that stayed under, but they had them in the flat spot. You can tell when your legs aren't moving and you're not playing up to your level, that's when you're going to see an under. Tonight's different now. You're off a loss, and I think you're going to see Washington come out with that strong mindset, get on the board early, and that'll open up that period if they do get on the board early. All right, Seattle and New Jersey. We've got New Jersey minus 260, home favorite, 6 the total here in this game. We just talked about it with Seattle. Vince Dunn, what a world of difference he's made returning to the lineup from injury. All of a sudden, they're moving the puck better. No question about that. They're still without Riker Evans and Yanni Gourde day-to-day due to injury. We'll see if either one of them plays here tonight. Jacob Markstrom confirmed in net for the New Jersey Devils. Huge rest advantage here for New Jersey. They haven't played since Monday night when they thumped the New York Rangers, the struggling Rangers, 5-1. New Jersey now on a nice little 5-2 heater in their last 7 games. We'll see if that carries over here. But a lot of these wins have been more so on the road than at home. This team is still a very inconsistent 6-7 at the Prudential Center this year. So it hasn't been a great run of it for New Jersey at home. Not consistent. I always prefer betting New Jersey on the road than at home because they're not as good at home, and you're paying a bigger premium and you're paying a bigger price to take New Jersey at home. So, but I don't want Seattle, right? Back-to-back, third road game in 4 nights, kind of a tricky spot. And I don't want Seattle with Philip Grubauer possibly in net. And pains me to say that because this guy that's been a very good goalie at times in the past, going back to when he was with Colorado, but that's not this year. He has been horrific, absolutely horrendous. And I think rock bottom for him was the last time we saw him. And that was that start in San Jose, 7 goals. He got bombed in that game. They lose 8-5. He's 1-7 with a 3.62 goals against average, 862 save percentage on the season. And because it's a back-to-back, and we saw Decord last night, you probably have to start him because you can't run Decord into the ground like this at this point in time. So I'm with the chat here. This is an over game to me. It feels like it. I think there's value with overs right now. With Seattle pulling the Islanders into an over, that tells you all you need to know right now. That they're certainly an over team at the moment. They're starting to score. The return of Vince Dunn is a big deal for this hockey team. 4-1 to the over their last 5 games. They've now scored 9 goals in the last 2 games. 2 of those 3 games in the second and the third game, I should say, with Vince Dunn back on this road trip. They score the 4 against Carolina, the 5 against the Islanders. I think overs make sense here in this game. I know we do have some series history pointing the other way, 3 straight unders head-to-head, but New Jersey's been lighting the lamp offensively. I don't trust if Grubauer, if he indeed gets the start here tonight. New Jersey has scored 5 goals or more, actually exactly 5 goals in 4 of their last 5 games. So the New Jersey Devils are really feeling it offensively right now. So I like first period over, full game over. I will go over by Fecta here in this game. Definitely what I primarily like the most when it comes to this one here, Kraken and Devils. Ryan, what do you think here? Seattle, New Jersey.
Yeah, I like the first period over as well, and then also Devils. I'm gonna keep it pretty simple. I like Devils team total over 3.5, -140.
All right, good stuff indeed. Yep, heading back to the slopes there, Matty Robinson, and have fun. I'd break my back doing some of that stuff, but that's another story. First period over, full game over. I do like that. Seattle and New Jersey here in this one. Prop wise, well, we do have a Robinson on the show. It's not Matt, it's Ryan. But Stefan Nason, does that mean he scores tonight for the New Jersey? I don't know if that applies to Ryan. I know it does with Matt, but
I have been good with. I know that's Matt's thing is Nason, but I have been good with the New Jersey Devil, and I've been on the show. Which is Jack Hughes. I think I've hit his goal props like 2 out of the 3 times that I've taken it when I'm on the show. So I will be on Jack Hughes anytime as well. I think it's +140, but.
Yeah, I agree. Jesper Bratt's on fire. Jack Hughes is on fire. Stefan Nason's been great. You know who I like? This is one that I really like tonight here as well. Let me just see. I want to make sure he's playing before I say it. Let me just make sure. Let me just check the line. Come on here. Here we go. Yeah, he is in the line. That's what I thought. I thought he was coming back here tonight from a lower body injury for New Jersey. And that's Thomas Tatar. And it wasn't for long, but he did play last year, second half of the year with Seattle. So he's playing against his old team. So I'm interested in that angle a little bit. Thomas Tatar, a little bit here for New Jersey to find the back of the net here against his old team, an angle that we often pay attention to. And then on the Seattle side, look, as far as right now for them, we're starting to see players heating up for them. Bjorkstrand, got a power play goal. And that was much needed. Brandon Tanev, you got to roll with him right now. This is a guy. I like what Dan Bilesma has done. He's put him on the top line here the last few games. He's got 4 points in the last 5 games, including a goal. Playing him with Stevenson and McCann on that top line. Why not? He's one of those energy guys. He hits everything in sight. He frees up ice for his line mates. Why not? Brandon Tanev, maybe, and definitely value with him as long as he stays on that top line spot with Chandler Stevenson and Jared McCann. I would look at Vince Dunn props again. Like I said, he's been awesome since returning. He's gotten a point in every game, I believe, since his return. Well, except the San Jose game, but on this road trip, he has 4 points and a goal in the first 2 games of this road trip. And Shane Wright, who is, like I said, starting to percolate here for Seattle with 4 goals in the last 6 games for Shane Wright, the first-round pick. It's a pretty good prop game and a game that I think will see some goals. All right, next up on this Friday slate, we've got Pittsburgh and the New York Rangers. Boy, is there a lot to dissect here when it comes to this particular game. We've got the New York Rangers minus 200 home favorites in this game. The total 6.5 across the board. There's no way, not a chance, do I lay minus 200 right now with this New York Rangers team struggling. Their only win was against Montreal, and they needed a late power play goal just to win that game. Cannot lay this price with the Rangers right now. And who the hell knows where their team mentality and psyche is with these rumblings that Jacob Trouba, the captain of the team, is about to be traded and or placed on waivers. And if he's placed on waivers, there's apparently at least 1 or more teams that would just right away claim him. So that's where we're at. We're pretty much, at a situation here where it's over for Jacob Trouba with the New York Rangers. So from that standpoint, is it done? I'm doing the show. I can't keep up with it. Has he been traded already? I'm seeing Trouba to Anaheim. Let me just make sure. I think the chat. Yeah, there it is. I see it now. Yep. Rangers have traded Jacob Trouba to the Anaheim Ducks for Urho Vakanainen and a draft pick. So, wow. That's the captain of the fucking team the last few years getting basically traded for a bag of pucks, a couple of marbles. That's it. That's it. Urho Vakanainen is like a depth defenseman at best for the Anaheim Ducks and a draft pick, and I'm sure, and it's a 4th-round pick. So that's, wow. What a way to fucking end your association with a man that's been the captain of the team for the last few years. What a cruel business, man. And that's what sports is. Welcome to pro sports, man. No feelings, no loyalties, nothing. I'm not saying Jacob Trouba is a flawed player. John Massey will be the first to tell you that he's bad in his own end, slow of foot, all this stuff. but that salary dump, exactly. That's exactly what it is. Salary dump. And the Anaheim Ducks are making it sound like, we're doing you a huge favor getting that fucking albatross of a contract off your books. So you're not getting much in return. And here we are, that all of a sudden, goodbye goes the captain of the team. Now, this could go one of two ways. Either, it's just shock and they don't play well again, or crazy as it is to say, do they get a spark from it? Because he hasn't been playing well. Jeffrey, you're right. He hasn't been playing well. He's been awful in his own zone. John Massey's a huge Rangers fan. So I trust what I hear from him, and I watch the Rangers a lot too, but I'm sure John watches them even more than I do. I try to watch as much as of every team every night that I possibly can. And he's always said Trouba just can't defend properly in his own end, without taking a bad penalty or something like that. It just gets caught out of position, turns the puck over. You can basically turn him into a turnstile because his foot speed's not the best for a defenseman in this day and age. So all of that stuff, and I get it. He's been a liability much of the season in his own end, but it's just crazy that this is a guy that's been the captain of the team, and just like that, out he goes for basically a hill of beans coming back the other way. That's it. So I mean, wow. Welcome to the harsh business that is pro sports. Pittsburgh or pass for me. I probably will dabble a little in the Penguins plus 170. And look, I'm not Mr. Penguin, as you guys know. I've not liked much of this team all year, but they've got a little something going right now. They've won a few in a row, albeit that Florida win was a complete fraud win. They got outshot 41-16 and won in overtime 5-4, but they were opportunistic as hell. They scored 5 goals on 16 shots. They've scored 5 goals or more in 3 of the last 4 games. Vancouver, Boston, Calgary, Florida in that 4-game win streak. So, we'll see how they fare here. I'm going to dabble in Pittsburgh. Don't love it, but with all the chaos going on with the Rangers, I don't mind taking a small shot against them, getting a plus 170 price tag. Rangers have owned Pittsburgh. Great point. But you can also look at it like, if you're Pittsburgh, don't you show up strong here? You're playing well. This team embarrassed Pittsburgh, by the way, in the very first game of the year, October the 9th, 6-0 Rangers in Pittsburgh. I remember that game. I was on the Rangers multiple ways, and they embarrassed Pittsburgh that night. But now Pittsburgh can say, you know what? Now you guys are in the doldrums a little bit. We've got some confidence rolling in here. But again, the Pittsburgh Penguins, can they be trusted on a night-in, night-out basis? No. But this is just, for me, strictly a bet that says I am willing to fade the Rangers at this price, given all the shit show that's going on right now with the New York team. So a little bit on Pittsburgh, plus 170 for me. Ryan, what do you think here? Penguins, Rangers.
Yeah, I'm with you on the Pittsburgher pass. I think, honestly, I liked the plus, taking a small shot on the plus 170 a little bit more before that Trouba trade news. I don't know. I just thought maybe, with him still there, kind of looming over the team, maybe it's in their head now that they know he's gone for sure. Maybe they try and reset and, put that behind them, and it gives them a boost, like you said, just kind of a refresh. But I still think it's Pittsburgh or pass here. Not sure if I trust them to win 5 in a row, but I see that their team total over 2.5 is minus 130 to minus 135 range, which I feel like is pretty good value. They've scored 5 and 6 goals in their last 2 wins, so they're definitely a team that can put the puck in the net against. I mean, they put up 5 on Florida. It's a pretty good team, so I like that minus 130 for Pittsburgh. I might take a small shot on that just because with all the stuff going on today. Maybe this is a great thing for New York and they reset, but maybe it takes them, a couple days to move past it. Maybe tonight is still kind of a bad spot for them. So I think it's Pittsburgh or pass for me. I like the team totals a little bit safer of a play. So I'm going to sprinkle on that as well as possibly Pittsburgh money line. So that's all I have for this game.
I'm going to do the same. I'm not putting it all on the money line because I could see them scoring 3. Maybe this is a night the Rangers explode. They give up 4. I actually could lean to the full game over as well, 6 and 5. Might sprinkle on that too. But as far as the Pittsburgh position, I'm going to at least split it up money line and team total over 2. And team total is only minus 130 for Pittsburgh. Team total over 2.5 in this game. Yeah, Nedeljkovic 2-0 at MSG. That's a good point, and I'll take him right now a little bit. Now, actually, Jari's been better lately, no doubt. Nedeljkovic capable though. Shesterkin in net for the Rangers. This is not all on Shesterkin, by the way. I know his numbers look awful in this 2-7 slide in his last 9 starts, but it's been really the whole team just defensively has been horrific, quite honestly. So, again, we'll see. Maybe this would be hilarious if the Rangers win 5-1 tonight with Trouba gone. First game with Trouba gone. It'll show that they obviously he was a big problem with the defensive game. And it will show that maybe they don't give 2 shits that he's gone, even though he's the captain. So this is a fascinating watch tonight. What do the Rangers give us in this first game after all this shitstorm with Jake Trouba has gone through and sent him out of town? It's going to be a very interesting. That's a nice point from someone in the chat here. I forget who I think it's Jeff Todd. There it is. The 4 Nations face-off players that didn't make the team, any of the countries, play those guys as far as player props. And actually, you know what's funny is I mentioned that in the NBA show. Guys that don't get selected to the All-Star team. And a lot of times they have these huge games right after the All-Star teams get announced. And if they're not on it, they just say, well, I'll show you. I should have made that team. I'll go off for 30, 35 points. I'll get a double-double. I'll get a triple-double, that kind of stuff. It is a motivating factor, no doubt. So that's something to look for in the next few days and weeks. How do the players that were just barely left off the 4 Nations rosters, how do they play? Certainly Raquel's in the mix here in this game, no doubt about it. So, yeah, definitely. And look at Hagel. And plus, I say bet some props involving the guys that did make the team, like a Brandon Hagel, because look at it's like goes right to your legs and skates. How amazing feeling it is that you get to represent your country, at an international event like that. So it is definitely something to look at. Yeah, Tage didn't make. Yeah, exactly. So Cole Caulfield, someone to factor in moving forward because he didn't make it. I know there's a couple Dallas Stars that we'll get to later on that didn't make Team Canada. That you could have made a case, maybe could have. Maybe they're going to want to show everybody what a mistake was made, not having them on. So it's a decent angle to look at and at least try to keep an eye on. All right, next up we've got Columbus and Vancouver. Vancouver minus 230, home favorites in this game. The total sitting at 6, shaded to the over. This is the first game home off a pretty lengthy sojourn and a very successful one on the East Coast for the Vancouver Canucks. It was a very solid road trip for them overall. 4-1-1, just one regulation loss in the 6 games. In other words, just one game on that road trip where they failed to collect at least a point. So very impressive. They're off that 3-2 loss in overtime. 3 straight draws have cashed for Vancouver, by the way, to end that road trip. And I was on a couple of them. But now back home, taking on Columbus. Normally, I don't love these spots. A 6-game road trip coming back home. We know Vancouver, as amazing as they've been on the road, 3-8 at Rogers Arena this year for the Vancouver Canucks. They have not been getting the job done here at home this season. We'll see how they fare here in this one. Kevin Lankinen in net for Vancouver. He suffered his first road loss of the season as a starting goalie in the Minnesota game the other night. He'll be in net tonight, although we are looking at closing in finally on a potential return of Thatcher Demko. He is very, very close to being back. In fact, he is serving as the backup tonight to Kevin Lankinen. So we are talking about definitely a Vancouver team that certainly is going to be happy to have Demko back. This is a game that is very, very, I'm all over the map here. I think at this price, there's no way you can take Vancouver laying a price like this off a long road trip. But it is for Columbus, also a back-to-back. Vancouver's actually owned this series, quite honestly. They've won 3 in a row hosting Columbus. And, they've scored at least 4 goals in every game. I do like the Canucks team total over 3.5. I do like that, minus 125 here in this game. I mean, the Columbus team on the road defensively, that's the problem with Columbus. They've turned into a really sharp home road team as well. Like, I don't know if they're going to take advantage of Vancouver's home woes because they've been equally as horrific on the road, Columbus. 3-10. 3-10 on the road here for the Columbus Blue Jackets. It kind of feels like this is an over game to me. I think Vancouver kind of, when they were at home on that recent homestand, they were sloppy. they were giving up 4 or 5 goals. They were scoring as well. They played overs, at home. Then they got on the road. They started to tighten it up a little bit at the beginning of the trip. And even at the beginning of the trip, they had the over with Ottawa. The Pittsburgh game went over. Buffalo and Detroit went over. So even on the road trip, they were playing overs. And at home, they were definitely not locking things down defensively like they were before. So I kind of feel in this game that, because I agree, I don't trust Columbus to win the game, but I feel they can get to 3 goals. I'm going to take both of the team totals, and I'm going to take the full game over. That's how I'm going to approach this. I think that approach can go 2-1, maybe even 3-0 tonight. Give me a 4-3, give me a 4-3 Vancouver win and call it a night. I think it's possible. That's the kind of game this ends up being. I don't trust Merzlikins, who's expected to be in net, and the Jacket team defensively on the road has been, like I said, they gave up 6 to Edmonton. They've given up 3 goals or more for their last 5 road games. It's not what you want to see. Like I said, as far as the head-to-head matchup is concerned, Vancouver has won in Vancouver. Columbus has won in Columbus. It's been kind of a home and road. The home team has held serve in every recent series meeting between these two teams. And like I said, the last 3 in Vancouver, all of them went over the total, 4-3, 5-2, 5-4. Vancouver scored at least 4 goals in all 3 games. So I'm going to approach it this way. Columbus's team total, over 2.5. Vancouver's team total, over 3.5. Full game, over 6. I think we go 2-1 or better with that approach. What do you think here, Ryan? Columbus, Vancouver?
Yeah, I think if anything, I might just be on the full game over with you. Columbus on the night of a back-to-back. Vancouver hasn't been great at home. They're going to want to, have a strong performance. So I think that over is the only play I'm looking at right now pregame. I might be interested in the first period over, but I think that's something I'm going to wait and see live. If you get 2-3 minutes in the game and nothing's happened, you get a better value. But in terms of pregame, I think just that over 6. There's a chance to push as a safety net, but I like that over 6. So that's what I'm riding with pregame.
All right, good stuff. Prop wise in this game, for Vancouver, Jake DeBrusk's on fire. You just got to keep betting him right now. He's been absolutely phenomenal. Pius Suter as well. Sherwood's dropped in the lineup again, so kind of off the Sherwood train, but Brusk and Suter, 100% makes sense to me. For Columbus, Kent Johnson, Voronkov, Monahan, maybe a sprinkle on Olivier, who's shockingly stepped up at times and scored goals for this Columbus team. So those would be the props I'd be interested in here. Minnesota and Anaheim next up. Minnesota minus 200, road favorites at Honda Center. The total sitting at, it was 6, shaded to the under. It's dropped to 5.5 at most spots here for this particular game tonight. This is the one game tonight I don't have a strong feel for. I always try to look for spots with Anaheim as a home dog, and they beat Ottawa, obviously, as a home underdog last weekend. But beating the good teams as a home dog, it's been a little more difficult for Anaheim. Of course, they lost to Vegas earlier this week, the last time they were a home underdog. And now they lose Trevor Zegras, and it's not as bad as they thought. It's a lower body injury. Apparently, the worst of it, it's not as bad as people think. It's day-to-day. It's not anything significantly long-term. So that's something to keep an eye on. Leo Carlson's out as well for the Anaheim Ducks. John Gibson in net. Should be Philip Gustafson for Minnesota. Obviously, Joel Eriksson out. Jonas Brodin still out for this team. It's a week-to-week absence for Joel Eriksson. Look, 5 goals, 8 assists. They'll miss him defensively. But I always say when Brodin and or Spurgeon and or Eriksson are out, I like to bet overs with Minnesota, but I don't know if I want to do that tonight. Anaheim's having a tough time offensively, and with Carlson out, and now you got to take Zegras out. It's going to be a little bit even more troubling, I think, for Anaheim to try to score goals moving forward. Minnesota's just owned them. 9-1 in the last 10 meetings. The last 2 times they've been in Anaheim. Actually, the last 4 times they've been in Anaheim, they've scored at least 4 goals. They have. They've scored at least 4 goals. 4-1, 4-1, 4-0, 5-2. So Minnesota has completely owned this team, especially here in Anaheim. They've scored at least 4 goals, 4 straight visits here to the Honda Center. So the only thing I'd be looking at here is maybe a lean to the over 3.5 with Minnesota. That would be the value for me. I don't think there's great value in Minnesota regulation or anything else. So I'll lean Minnesota team total over 3.5. But this is the game I just feel I'm probably going to lay off and stay away from here on this Friday card. What do you think here, Ryan? Minnesota, Anaheim.
Yeah, I was with you. I was going to lay out this game. Didn't have a great feel, and obviously not good value in the minus 200 with Minnesota. I think I'm going to take a small shot on their 60-minute line, though, at minus 125. I see it minus 120, 125, kind of that range. So, as you mentioned, they've dominated Anaheim. Anaheim has some injuries, and then also that Trouba news. Maybe their guys are not sure what they're going to get in Trouba in the locker room. So I like the minus 125. I think Minnesota gets it done tonight and has another comfortable 4-1, 4-2 type win. So that's all I'm playing pregame.
Yeah. I think there's going to be spots for overs for Minnesota without Eric Sinek. I don't know about tonight because I don't know if Anaheim's going to pull their share of it. But that's the first thing I think of when I think of Minnesota when Eric Sinek's out. What they lose defensively with him, because they lose something offensively, but they lose a lot more defensively when he is not on the ice. He is one of their better two-way players, one of their better defensive forwards on the entire team. So they to me, Minnesota, whenever I see Eric Sinek out, they take a hit defensively. What I don't like, though, about the over in this game is Anaheim being able to be the team that's going to take advantage of that. I'm not so sure, especially with the forward injuries starting to mount for them. All right, final game of the night, and this should be a good one in Vegas. We've got the Dallas Stars and the Vegas Golden Knights, T-Mobile Arena. Dallas minus 120, road favorites. The total sitting at 6, shaded to the over here in this game. Dallas off a 3-2 loss to the Los Angeles Kings in their last game. Right away, when I see Dallas off a loss, I don't really feel in a rush to bet against them. This is usually a team that brings good efforts when they don't have a good one the previous game. That being said, what's been funny about Dallas? 16-9 on the year. They're still only just 6-7 on the road. They've got to improve with that road record a little bit. And it seems like at times when they have lost, they've lost in bunches. They've had a couple of 2-game losing streaks, particularly on the road. The last time we saw Dallas lose 2 in a row, not bounce back after a loss, was when they went to Carolina. They had that horrible third period. They lost 6-4, and then they lost the very next game to Chicago, 6-2. So the last time they were in a spot to avoid consecutive losses on the road like they are here, they didn't do it. And at the same time, Vegas, home underdogs, that's not the kind of value I want to get involved with, betting against Vegas when they're a home underdog and they're 10-3 at T-Mobile Arena with a road team that's just 6-7 like Dallas. So that has me off the side, quite honestly. I'm not on Dallas. I'm not on Vegas. What I am on, you guys know it, 8-1 in the last 9 games for Dallas Stars first period overs. The Vegas Golden Knights this season, we've talked about it lately as well, how they've been strong as can be for first period overs at home this season. 10-2 to the first, actually 10-3 now to the first period over, because the last time they were at home was that the game against Vegas Edmonton. It stayed under that game, but still 10-3 in 13 home games to the first period over this year for the Vegas Golden Knights. So I really like this first period over tonight, Stars and Golden Knights. I do lean full game over too, and it's going to be the Washington-Toronto repeat for me. The over by Fecta, but I am stronger on the first period over, and I have a little bit more of the money and the overall bet on the first period over here as well. What do you think here, Ryan? Final game, your Dallas Stars taking on the Vegas Golden Knights.
Yeah, I think Vegas is really good value at that plus 100. I know we talked a little bit before. If Dallas had hung on and won that LA game, I think it'd be an even better spot for Vegas. But I think Dallas is motivated. They're pissed off. They let that one slip away. So I think it's good value for Vegas as a better. Dallas is my team, so I'm going to take a small shot with them. Not saying I feel great about them. Obviously, these are two great teams. Could go either way.
This is a Ryan fan bet. That's
Yeah,
make sure we
exactly. This
stress
is
that.
I like
He's
Vegas.
coming on here telling you Vegas. He thinks, and I agree. There's probably
I
value
like
in
Vegas with the value at
Yeah.
plus seat at plus 102 now,
Yeah.
so it is good value. It's just a fan bet for me, just a small bet. I also like I don't do it often. I've been hot with him lately, but I like Jake Ottinger over 26.5 saves at plus 100 even money. I think if Dallas does win this one, he's gonna have to be solid. He's obviously not gonna be happy with those late goals that he gave up in that LA game to let that game slip away. So he's gonna have to be sharp. And then Scott mentioned it, but I am going to be on the top line, the point parlays. So I'll do one with Robertson, Hintz, and whoever slotted with them. And then I'll probably also do a small one with Marchment, Duchesne, and Stankoven. And that line looked great last game. They generated a lot of chances. So just small shots on those, Ottinger saves, and then just a small shot on Dallas. But as you mentioned, it's totally a fan bet. I see the value in Vegas here, and if it was anyone else besides Dallas, I'd like that plus 102. So just small for me. I'm excited to watch this as a fan and see how Dallas bounces back. I was in Vegas last weekend and saw the Vegas Winnipeg game as well as the Utah Vegas game. So that rink is obviously cool. It's going to be loud. These teams have kind of become rivals the last few years, always playing in the conference finals and stuff. So I'm just excited to watch it as a fan. I think it could go either way. I do also like that first period over. Forgot to mention that, but I will be on that as well. I think there could be a couple goals early. So that's all for me in terms of this game.
Yeah, 8 points in 8 games for Wyatt Johnston and 2 goals in the last 3 games. So I agree with Cuban in the chat that, he's someone to go with. The 2 players I'm thinking of for Dallas, as far as what Jeff in the chat mentioned about bet on the players that got snubbed, Jamie Benn and Matt Duchesne. Okay, you could have made a decent case that both of them could have been on the team. They obviously weren't, and that's what happens when you play for when you're a Canadian hockey player. There's just so many choices, and eventually you can't put everyone on the team. And the reason for that is because look, there's a lot of players that are, especially for Duchesne, he's a guy that's an offensive player. You're not gonna put Matt Duchesne on the Canadian Four Nations face-off team to be a fourth liner. Okay, you're just not going to do that. But they need third and fourth line makeup type of players because you can't just have everyone scoring. Who's going to kill penalties? Who's going to win big face-offs? Who's going to be defensively responsible? Who's going to do all this shit that's important to winning hockey and winning in these kind of tournaments? So that's why, you can't just put you can't just put the 12 highest scoring players on the forward group for these international rosters. You can't do that. You need guys to fit roles to win big face-offs, roles to be on the penalty kill, roles to be physical, get in on the forecheck. When the game's not going well, who's going to lay a big hit on somebody and roll the fuck out of somebody when you need to turn the momentum in a game? Who's going to do all that stuff? So that's why, unfortunately, a lot of the high-end skill players get left off, a Canadian roster, American roster, Swedish roster because of that. It's not that Matt Duchesne's not capable or deserving. It's that, it's a numbers game. He was a victim of the numbers game. So that's the way it goes, unfortunately. But you're still going to feel deep down inside like you've been snubbed a little bit. So I'm interested. Ben and Duchesne for Dallas and any teams we talked about earlier in the show that maybe got snubbed for one of the Four Nations teams. Do they play like it here in these next few games for sure? So something to keep in mind going into these next few games and next few days of action here in the NHL. Yes, this is, by the way, Dallas and Vegas. Let me just see if I don't believe they've no, they haven't played each other yet this regular season. This is going to be their first regular season meeting. So this is the playoff revenge angle, if it matters to you. Vegas' first time playing Dallas since they got knocked out in the playoffs last year. But like I said, Dallas off a loss. I'm not betting against that. So for me, it's a pass, and I don't like going against Vegas as a home dog either. Shout out to everyone in the chat. We appreciate it. Hit the like button on the way out. Another great show in the books here on the Ice Guys. And again, make sure you sign up on the Patreon page if you haven't done so already. We've got certainly a great following there. We're almost at 200 Patreon members. We're pushing for 200. tell your friends, tell anyone. It's just $10 per month. All of our exclusive content is there. Goalie charts, totals charts, bonus videos as well. We're going to be posting a Player Suite interview we did earlier this week. We'll be posting that on the Patreon page at the end of next week. We will have exclusive Patreon-only live betcasts starting in January. We look forward to bringing those back again. And, of course, the daily betting card posted each and every day on the Patreon page for members, sides, totals, and player props. So make sure you sign up. Just $10 per month, and your subscription goes a long way to supporting the show and keeping it going in the long run. So just $10 per month. Sign up, patreon.com/IceGuys, and check out the Ice Guys store as well, iceguys.myspreadshop.com. Again, we're only 19 days away from Christmas, so you're cutting it close if you want to order something and have it arrive by Christmas morning. So make sure you get to the Ice Guys store and get your gear and your merch for the holiday season right now at iceguys.myspreadshop.com. And don't forget the holiday giveaway too. Still in effect. You have still have a time to enter until Monday, December 16th, and that's when we will announce the winners on our daily live show. So again, 21 years of age or older, you must be a U.S. resident. It's open to all 50 U.S. states. And again, the form and the link for that is available on the Ice Guys Twitter handle, so make sure you check that out. Again, the High Holiday Giveaway, sponsored by Boston Hemp Inc. and the Ice Guys. 6 lucky viewers and fans of the show can win that giveaway, and we will announce again the winners December the 16th with that. All right, it is time in a moment for Bargain Bin Special of the night and best bets coming up right after we hear from our great Ice Guys sponsors.
Support for the Ice Guys podcast is provided by Boston Hemp Incorporated, Manscaped, Power Play Sportsbook, Raise Your Game, Tailgater Sofa, and a big thank you to all that subscribe to the Ice Guys Patreon page. Everyone loves a perfect pair. Bacon and eggs. Thunder and lightning. Mario and Luigi. A hot dog with fries. Ian and Alex B. That's right. Everyone loves a perfect pair. So why not pair up your game nights with Boston Hemp? From exotic flower to concentrates and edible products. You'd be hard-pressed to find a better pairing than Boston Hemp and hockey. Check them out today at bostonhempinc.com. That's bostonhempinc.com. Boston Hemp Incorporated, the official smoke sponsor of the Ice Guys. Void where prohibited by law. Not available outside of the United States. Must be 21 or over to obtain products. Check your local regulations to see if Boston Hemp is available in your area.
All right, shout out to all our great sponsors, including Boston Hemp Inc., our daily show sponsor and official sponsor of the live betcast. 20% off all orders on the website using the promo code IceGuys at bostonhempinc.com. All right, it is time for Bargain Bin Special of the night. Not a bad slate, actually, for bargain bins. There were a couple that piqued my interest. But Ryan, we'll start with you. What do you like in the bargain bin tonight?
Yeah, I was going back and forth with a couple guys, to be honest. I think, I'm still going back and forth just looking at it. I'm gonna go with a bit of a longer shot here. I think he's looked great. I'm gonna go with Sam Steele anytime goal plus 700. He's been on the third line with Ben and Dodonov, as well as Ben and Johnston. So I'm gonna take a small shot on that plus 700. It's my bargain bin special of the night.
All right, good stuff. Good value on that one as well. No question about that. So nice bargain bin special there for Brian Robinson. I'm back and forth between a couple for my bargain bin special of the night. But look, he's on the top line and he makes things happen. And he scored, I believe, last night. I think it was an empty net goal, but he still scored. And I know I've won with Turbo before. Turbo time. One more time. Jingle All the Way. Watch that movie. That's what that's from, too. Arnold Schwarzenegger back in the day. Jingle all. It's Turbo time. Well, Turbo is the nickname of one Brandon Tanev, who just happens to be playing on the top line right now for the Seattle Kraken, and he is plus 550 at DraftKings, BetMGM, Bet365. They all have him at plus 550 to score a goal tonight for the Seattle Kraken. So let's go with Brandon Tanev, Seattle Kraken, plus 550 for my bargain bin special of the night. All right, best bets. Ryan, what do you like? Best bet.
Yeah, so for my best bet, I really like this. I picked it out last night as something I really liked. I'm going to go with Washington, Toronto, first period over at that minus 130, minus 135 range. I think we see some goals early and often, and those teams have some firepower, so I'm expecting some goals early. Give me Washington, Toronto over 1.5 first period over.
There you go. Capitals, Leafs over first period. That is on my card. It's not my best bet, but I fully agree with it. Washington, Toronto, first period over. 15-2 in the last 17 Washington Capitals games for the first period over. So Washington, Toronto, first period over 1.5 for Ryan with his best bet. My best bet. Let's go with Seattle, New Jersey over 6. And I like the first period here as well over, but we'll go with the full game here over 6. Kraken, Devils, New Jersey scoring 5 goals like it's going out of style right now. They have been on fire offensively of late. Everyone chipping in. They get probably Philip Grubauer in net for Seattle, who has been very porous lately, struggling mightily. And I mentioned it earlier, with Vince Dunn back on the blue line, he has transformed this Seattle offense. And all of a sudden, 2 games on this road trip, Vince Dunn in the lineup, 9 goals for this Seattle team. So Seattle, New Jersey, over 6, minus 110. That'll be my best bet here for this Friday NHL card. Shout out to everyone in the chat. Hit the like button on the way out. A reminder, the Ice Guys is live Tuesday to Friday, 2 p.m. Eastern, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, noon Eastern. If you can't watch the show live, download the Ice Guys podcast in audio form on all major podcast platforms. For Ryan Robinson, I'm Ian Cameron. Have a great Friday night. Enjoy the games and good luck. And for our friend Ryan, forks up tomorrow for Arizona State in the Big 12 title game. We will be back with you on Saturday, noon Eastern, for another edition of the Ice Guys.